Over 80 million American adults are suffering from lack of sleep each night. For context, 1 out of every 3 adults are not getting the sleep they need to allow their body time to rejuvenate and prepare for the next day. Why is this such a big problem? How good would we be able to feel if we could consistently get enough rest? And more importantly, what will happen if we don't? To answer these questions, we have brought on TEDx speaker and sleep expert Devin Burke to the Think Your Way to an Epic Life podcast.
Yeah, I mean, there's really 6 mistakes people make. Addressing the symptoms is never going to really resolve what the challenge is. A lot of times people get stuck in this kind of performance anxiety where they're thinking about sleep, they're trying to do all these things to improve their sleep, and it puts all this pressure, puts sleep on a pedestal. I mean, it affects every single part of our life. If you're not getting consistent quality sleep, your risk of every major disease increases because it's through the night that our mind and body heal, repair, and recover. My intention is not to scare people, but hopefully inspire them to take action. We have a proven process now. We have a system that works repeatedly.
Welcome to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And I am so excited with who I'm getting to bring to you today. His name is Devon, and that might not mean much to you until I start to tell you what he's into. You're going to be into it. He is a sleep expert, like an absolute expert. I'm reading his book, and let me tell you guys, if you don't get that book, you are robbing yourself and your family and your friends and your career, everything. It is powerful. I haven't met anyone who says, oh yeah, I get plenty of sleep and life is good. So this episode is going to be something that I think you're going to want to bookmark and you're going to want to come back to over and over again. Devin, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk sleep with you.
That's kind of a cool thing. Talk sleep with you. We're going to do that. So can you give us just a little background? How did you get to here? Talk me through that.
Yeah. So it was about 7 years ago. I was working with a lot of high performing entrepreneurs, business owners, people that run companies, have families, busy people. And as you can imagine, they weren't getting a lot of sleep. And so one particular person had really, really, really bad sleep issues. They said, hey, I don't want to take sleeping pills. I know that's not the answer. Is there anything, can you help? And so up until that point, I didn't know anything about sleep. I'm a fantastic sleeper, ironically. And so I said, well, let me look into some, what's available. And I really couldn't find anything. So it sent me down this rabbit hole of really seeing, okay, there has to be something else out there that can help people besides taking medication like Ambien and all these other drugs out there that have really strong side effects. And essentially, the more I studied sleep and the more I really dove into it, the more interested I got in the topic. And I started to learn more and more. And I started to kind of try different techniques and strategies and methodologies with this person. I said, hey, listen, let's just make this an experiment. Let's see. And long story short, I was able to help him. And then I started to share this with other clients, was able to help them. And I said, you know what, I think I have something here. And that was 7 years ago when we started Sleep Science Academy. Now we're helping thousands of people with sleep issues all across the United States. But it wasn't out of my own struggle. And I thought sleep was a waste of time. I literally did not, you don't really realize how important it is until you're not getting it or until you study it. It's one of those things. It's like people it's not a sexy topic. It's really misunderstood. It has a bad reputation in our society. And so that kind of what set me on the journey to really support people and help people all across the United States restore their natural ability to sleep.
Very cool. Well, it seems like you're doing a heck of a job, and everything I've read so far, I'm probably about halfway through your book, and I can't wait to finish it. Like, it is really that good. I don't promote things to you guys that I don't genuinely believe in, and this is power. I mean, it is power. You seem to be much more of be into the holistic way of sleeping. Would that be a good way of describing it?
100%. Yeah. One of the things I realized, Kara, is that it's not really about sleep. It's really, if you're having struggles with your sleep, it's not a bedtime disorder. It's a 24-hour challenge. And so you have to look at it holistically. And when you look at it from a holistic standpoint, everything you do throughout the entire day dictates how well or how challenging your sleep's going to be. So it's not really just a bedtime thing, it's a 24-hour thing. It is a holistic. You can't separate your night from your day or your bedtime. Everything's connected. And so that's really the approach that I take when I look at, how do you improve sleep? You have to look at all the things that affect sleep and how sleep affects everything else, because it really does. When we're not sleeping, I mean, it affects every single part of our life, our performance, our relationships, our health. I mean, I know how I am after one night of poor sleep. I'm not the same person. I really, it's everyone has had the experience of not sleeping well and then feeling the next day like kind of feel like an exhausted zombie. And it's part of life. But when you're getting great sleep, and when you really understand what sleep is and how important it is and how to allow sleep to happen, then, and you're getting great sleep, it really elevates everything. It's amazing. It's a superpower.
Absolutely, it totally is a superpower. And one of the things that you bring up in your book is the aura ring. And I am sold beyond. It's been just over a year that I've had mine, and it's absolutely changed my life. Why are you such a big fan?
Yeah, I mean, you can't master something that you're not measuring. And so it's like if you want to improve your blood work, right, you have to measure it. You have to know what's going on. And so, the Oura Ring was really the first device. Now there's a lot of devices out there, but that was able to put out consistent data. And with that data, you can see improvement. You can say, hey, I made these behavioral changes, I made these psychological changes, and it made a difference in my sleep. And before, if you can't see that sort of hard data, it becomes really difficult to know, well, is what I'm doing actually having an impact? And so when you have that feedback loop, it's just amazing, because then it reinforces these behaviors. It reinforces all the things we know improve sleep. And then you can have that data to sort of, keep you motivated to continue to take action on the things we know actually work.
There you go. There you go. Instead of having to learn it the way you did by trial and error, someone can read your book or they can come to you for coaching. So I'm very fascinated by the fact that you are a sleep coach. What does that look like if someone came to you and said, Coach, help me?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like any type of coach, right? So really a good coach really just gives you the strategies and the tools to be able to make the small micro adjustments that make all the difference. Like I like to give the analogy, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So a great coach gives you perspective and gives you tools and a path and a system that gets consistent results. And that's exactly what we do at Sleep Science Academy with what we teach people. We give people a system and we give them the support that they're missing to take action on changing not only what they're doing, but how they think about what they're doing. Because that actually makes a massive difference in whether or not you're going to get the results. And so we have a proven process now. We have a system that works repeatedly. When people go through it, they go literally from 2 to 3 hours not sleeping consistently for, in some cases, decades. We've had people come to us. And then within 8 weeks, following the system and getting the support, they're able to restore their natural ability to sleep and not need anything, which is really amazing.
It truly is amazing, because I think that we are the most drugged society that we've ever been, both pharmaceutical and illegal and over the counter. Just give me a pill. Just give me a pill and make everything better. What do you have to say to all the different, let me ask you this question very directly. What is the worst thing that you can do for your sleep?
Yeah, I mean, there's really 6 mistakes people make. One of the mistakes is they rely on sleeping aids. Yeah, I mean, the answer is not in a pill. I mean, there is a time and a place for medication. Thank God we have it. But the sleeping medications in particular, they weren't ever designed to be long-term solutions. They were designed to be short-term solutions. They address the symptoms, but they don't address the underlying cause of why you're not sleeping in the first place. And so if you don't address the underlying cause of why you're not sleeping in the first place, you're going to have to rely on sleeping medication, which has very strong side effects, habit forming. It's, if you look at the studies that link sleeping medications with increased risk of cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, I mean, it's not good. And sure, you could use them for a couple of weeks. That's really how they're designed. People end up using these things and relying on them for years, and eventually they stop working. And they're not the answer. Um, you really have to understand that addressing the symptoms is never going to really resolve what the challenge is.
So you said there were 6. Do you want to go over all of them, or you want to say, we don't want to give away your whole book?
Yeah, no, I mean, so that's the first one is relying on sleeping. And the other reason why that's a mistake is because what it does is it trains us to put our trust in something outside of our natural ability. So we're kind of like giving our power away to this other thing, and it trains us to not, sleep's the most natural thing in the world. You don't actually have to think about sleep. There's nothing really you have to do to sleep. A lot of times people get stuck in this kind of performance anxiety where they're thinking about sleep. They're trying to do all these things to improve their sleep, and it puts all this pressure, puts sleep on a pedestal, and then makes it look like it's a problem. And sleep's not a problem. It's a result. And so it really, you want to take your power back, because if you're putting your power in something outside of yourself, you have no power. So that, and also eventually when it's those medications or, over the counter or prescription, when they stop working, then you start to develop this belief that you're broken, that something is seriously wrong with you. And it's not true. It's not true. So that's 100% a mistake. Another mistake people make, very, very common mistake, is people try to control sleep. They try to force it. Sleep happens. It's not something we can force or control. So this gets really, really, there's a lot of ways that people do this subtly. And I'm a big believer in, hey, let's have a sleep hygiene routine. Let's set ourselves up for sleep success. But what happens is people become obsessed with, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to sleep. And that's not how sleep works. It's something that you have to allow. It's something that you have to, get yourself out of the way and just allow it to happen. And people kind of try to control it. And the more you try to control something you have no control of, the worse it becomes. And it's really interesting. It's like one of the few things in life, the harder you try at, the worse you get at it.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And because it creates a lot of pressure, creates a lot of, there's a lot of expectation around it. Oh, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to sleep. And when sleep doesn't happen, then people start to, oh my gosh, I'm not sleeping. And then it becomes this whole thing. And then people get stuck in this anxious sort of cycle. And it can go so far as people feel like they're starving, looking for food, and their food is sleep. And it becomes a mess, really. So that's a big mistake that people make. Another mistake is people spend too much time in bed.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So this is one of the most common mistakes, and it's really it's interesting because it makes sense. If you're not sleeping, you would think logically, okay, spend more time in bed. But that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Because when you spend more time in bed and you're not asleep, it anchors your bed with restlessness, with tossing and turning, with frustration, with anxiety, with a racing mind, with trying to sleep. So you want to remove yourself from the bed and bedroom if you're having struggles with your sleep, either falling asleep or falling back to sleep. After about 20 minutes, I call it the bed exit strategy. Go to a place, do something just to do it, not with the expectation of I'm going to do it and then I'm going to sleep, because that would be trying to control something we have no control of, right?
Uh-huh.
And then when you're sleepy, just get back in bed and let sleep happen. Don't try to sleep, just let it happen. And it's really, I mean, it sounds so simple, but when people actually practice this that have real issues with their sleep, it does wonders. And one of the things people say, well, if I'm not in bed, then there's no chance I'm going to sleep. It doesn't seem logically to make sense, but trust me, spending too much time in bed is a mistake when you're not sleeping.
I trust you completely. Why should my listeners trust you? Like, give us some of your statistics.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, at this point, we've helped thousands of people across the United States. I mean, my results, I always tell people I have a PhD in results. I'm not a sleep doctor. If you go to our website and you look at our case studies, we have literally hundreds of people that have raised their hand out of the thousands that we help to share their story of, hey, this is where I was at. I was on sleeping medications. I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night. And within 8 weeks or less, I'm sleeping completely natural without any medication, and life is completely different. Also, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, all the other things, been on national TV, but
One
honestly,
of the top 25 health coaches. That's a big deal, man.
that is a big deal. It is a big deal. Yeah. I mean, I don't really like to share all that. It's kind of like, I just tell people, hey, I'm your friend. And if you're having trouble sleeping, I can help you. That, like all the other stuff. Yeah, it's great. And I feel honored to, have been featured in all these things and whatever, but it's just about helping people, and it's about getting the message out to people that need it. Cause so many people, there's just, they can't sleep. They're having it's an epidemic.
It is truly an epidemic. And what are the results? You said that the testimonials say that you took me from here to here. What all does bad sleep impact in a human's life?
Gosh, I mean, literally, we can pick any area. You can tell me your relationships, your career, your health. I always like to start with your health. I mean, when you're not sleeping, and I always hesitate, a little caveat here, because I don't want to scare people into, especially the people that are not sleeping listening to this. This might make you sleep worse, because you start thinking, oh my God, if I don't sleep, I'm going to get cancer. If I don't sleep, I'm going to get heart disease, I'm going to have a heart attack. If I don't sleep, I'm going to get dementia. But it is linked to every major disease. If you're not getting consistent quality sleep, your risk of every major disease increases, because it's through the night that our mind and body heal, repair, and recover. The lymphatic system gets activated. It, flushes out the beta amyloid, the plaque that builds up that creates Alzheimer's. The cancerous cells that we all have in our body, they're there, but it's through the night that the T killer cells, they get activated, they go through, autophagy happens, it starts removing these cells. That all happens when we're asleep. And so when we're not getting it, or we're not prioritizing it, or we're not getting enough of it, then it just, again, it puts everything at risk. And then mentally, I mean, just think about how you feel after a poor night of sleep or jet lag. You feel like you're just in a fog. You're not really thinking clearly. Everything seems harder. And there's real studies and real science to show that, the cognitive effects of even after one night of not getting sleep, it can be as drastic as being intoxicated. It affects our relationships, because I don't know about you, but when I don't sleep, I'm irritable. I'm hungry. It affects, ghrelin and leptin. Those are the hunger and full signaling hormones. So when you don't sleep, you crave sugar and fat. And when you eat it, your body doesn't signal that you're full. So it's linked to obesity. It's linked to weight gain. Cortisol's increased. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to, because my intention is not to scare people, but hopefully inspire them to take action, to, if you're not sleeping well, to really address the underlying cause as to why you're not, versus use the Band-Aids like the sleeping medication or the supplements or whatever else, is on the internet that you're trying to quickly silver bullet approach, which unfortunately those things don't last.
How important is your thought life all day long in sleep at night?
I mean, it's everything. The number one thing that people tell me is they can't sleep because they have a racing mind. Like, if I can only shut my mind off, then I'd be able to sleep. Well, the mind, unfortunately, is not like a light switch. So it'd be fantastic if it was, but really understanding how to get out of the hyper arousal, the next thing, going from one thing to the next, the buildup of tension and pressure in the body throughout the day. That starts as soon as you wake up. So most people rush into their day, they have coffee, they're right into it. They go from one thing to the next thing, next thing. There's no break, there's no downtime, there's no rest. And then they expect their mind and body just to shut down and then be able to go to sleep. That's not how it works. There needs to be a buffer from your day and your night. There needs to be breaks. There needs to be time, space throughout the day. And it can be hard. You have to, I get people have kids, businesses, busy. I get it. Trust me. But if you're not willing to draw the boundaries and create the space, you're going to carry your day right into your night and you're not going to be able to sleep.
You talk a lot in your book about, yes, all these things, avoiding blue light. Probably, I haven't gotten to whether you talk about what time you eat, how much that affects your sleep, but all of those things, they're very important, yet they're not as important as how you are all day.
100%. Yeah, because it's stress. Really, stress and anxiety is the number one reason why people don't sleep. Is because they're either worried about tomorrow or they're in the past thinking about what they should have done or could have done or would have done or whatever it is. And so, one of the things that we teach people is really the practice of being present. Really understanding, how do I break the habitual pattern of constantly thinking, problem solving in the future or being in the past? How do I just get present? What does that feel like? What kind of tools, what kind of strategies can I implement just to become present to literally what is? And it sounds like a simple thing to do. It's not. So it's a practice. Another thing that we really help people get connected to is acceptance, embodied acceptance, like really being able to work with pain, being able to understand, that there's a lot of things in life that's out of our control. And our minds are always trying to fix things, problem solve. And most of what we're thinking about and we're trying to fix is really out of our control to begin with. So, understanding where to place your attention and your awareness, understanding that we have thoughts, but we're not our thoughts, understanding how to listen to your body. These are all the deeper sort of things that we teach people that then results in them sleeping. The most natural thing in the world, something that you don't have to think about, that there's really nothing you really need to do in order to sleep.
Okay, so most of the people who listen to this are open-minded. Not, I think they are. They're growth-minded, they're open-minded. So you're saying mindfulness. When you say that word, can you tell me what that means to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it means paying attention to what's in the present moment. So, for instance, you can be mindful of your breath. Like you're literally connected to, hey, where am I breathing from? Am I breathing from my chest or am I breathing from my stomach? Where in my body am I feeling tension or tightness? So you can bringing your attention to the present moment, or directing your attention is when I say mindfulness, that's what I mean. So you could bring your attention to something outside of yourself, like, oh, I'm looking at the tree and I really noticed that the leaves are green and it's, it's a beautiful tree and the leaves are moving. It could be, you could place your attention on anything and that could be a mindful moment. And it takes practice. That takes a lot of practice because most of the time we are not mindful at all. We're in our heads and we're planning things and we're problem solving and we're perfecting and we're doing all this stuff. And there's a time and a place for all that. And you can learn to do that mindfully, actually, which as you practice this, that can become a real possibility for people that really practice.
Okay. So what about meditation?
Yeah, meditation, 100%. I mean, mindfulness can be a form of meditation, right? Okay. Having a practice, I think having some type of practice, and there's so many different styles and so many different schools of meditation, so many different teachers, but just having a meditation practice, whatever that looks like for you, and really having it be consistent, man, it's important. Absolutely. So, so, so important. As important as brushing your teeth, as important as taking a shower. It's that important. And it helps. It helps relieve stress. I mean, there's so many benefits to meditation. And there's different styles and different techniques, but they all have their place. Most people, again, the thing is, I don't have time to do it, or they don't really understand what meditation is. People think, oh, well, my mind's so busy. I can't meditate. I'm a horrible meditator. Well, no, everyone's mind's so busy. That's part of meditation, is understanding, oh, I'm thinking of, my mind's going, and then I bring my attention back to my breath, or I bring my attention back to a mantra, or whatever style of meditation people connect to.
Yeah, I think that is one of the things that people wait until the very last. That's one of the last growth things for people, because they don't understand, why am I doing this? That how can this really matter? How can it really make a difference? And it's something that I think people resist in a big way, and maybe because they've heard things about some weird meditation
Yeah.
rituals and things like that. But it's nothing more than being still as much as you can, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, and anything can really be a meditation, but it's creating space in your day to consistently practice. I've studied a lot of different styles of meditation. I've actually been on a 10-day silent meditation retreat, which is 100 hours of meditation. And you come to realize, when you really do practice any style of meditation, that our thoughts are so powerful, and we're not our thoughts. And that's, I think, one of the biggest benefits of creating the space to meditate, is you realize that you're not your thoughts. And you can place your awareness and attention on certain things, and based off of what you do, that dictates how you feel. How you feel dictates how you perform, how you show up, how you react, how you respond. And then that dictates whether or not you're going to be able to have a great night of sleep, or whether it's going to be a real struggle. Right. So it's, we have all of our clients, we guide them to start a meditation practice, because it's just so beneficial for everything, including sleep.
Okay, you've got to be doing some convincing, I would think. Is it difficult sometimes to get them to try it?
The people that we are supporting, they're in such pain that they'll do whatever it takes.
Got it.
So I think there's a spectrum. For people that are not in a lot of pain, they're not experiencing a lot of suffering, usually, they really have to buy into the benefits of creating the time to do a practice. But people that are in a lot of pain, and there's a lot of suffering, they're a lot more open to, I'll do whatever it takes. You just tell me what to do. And there is a benefit to being in pain and to really suffering, is you can find a lot of freedom in the struggle. Life's painful. We all suffer, right? There's all kinds of pain. Why wouldn't you prepare for that? Even if you're having a great life and you feel energized and you're healthy and, whatever, you're checking the boxes. It's like, eventually there's going to be something in life you're going to lose something, and it's going to hurt. And so why not prepare for that? Meditation is path to prepare for that.
So Devin, you also wrote a book called Healthy Eating in the 21st Century. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was my first book. And that was probably, at this point, maybe a decade ago that I wrote that book.
Wow.
And before I got so passionate about sleep, I was heavily studying nutrition. When I kind of latch onto something, and I'll just dive deep into it. And so when I wrote that book, I was studying all the different kind of dietary theories, and I was like, this is so complicated. Let me just, let me give people just what they need to know, so that they can make good choices. And it really is so simple. Nutrition is so simple. Eat the highest quality food you can get. Don't eat a lot of it. That's it. It's that simple. Don't eat a lot of it, and eat the highest quality food you can get, which is usually local organic food. It's such a complicated subject. Anyway, that's why I wrote that book, was just to really simplify the confusion that so many people have around diet and nutrition. It is a very confusing topic.
It truly is, and one of the objections that I hear to eating the best food and the organic food is I can't afford it. That is, how do you feel about that objection?
Yeah, I mean the truth is, yeah, it is more expensive, but it's your health insurance because you already eat, and it's so you do the best you can. I mean, if you can't, I think Walmart has organic food. Costco has organic food. So you do the best you can. I find that a lot of times people, are managing their stress through food. They're using food as a crutch because it changes their state, or alcohol. And so again, it's really kind of got to go underneath the surface and ask yourself some deeper questions. Why am I eating what I'm eating? Am I eating food because I don't want to feel, or I'm trying to change how I feel? Those are really good questions to ask yourself if you have a unhealthy relationship with your body or with food.
So, how does nutrition tie into sleep?
It absolutely ties into sleep. So one of the things most people don't realize is if you eat too close to bedtime, rather than getting into these deeper stages of delta sleep or REM sleep, which is where the body does most of the heavy lifting of repair and recovery, your body is digesting your food. And I've actually tested this on myself because one of the things that I struggle with is deep sleep. And if I have a 3.5 hour fasting window, meaning I don't eat any food and then I go to sleep, my deep sleep increases. I feel better. I can see it in the data. I can feel it in my body. And it's because my body is not trying to send all the blood to my stomach to digest food. It's actually getting into these deeper stages of sleep. And it's the first quarter of the night, that first sleep cycle, which is about 90 minutes. When the first really 2 sleep cycles is when we're getting into the deepest stages of delta sleep, which is where growth hormones released. It's where the body's really doing a deep clean on the cellular level. We don't want our body diverting its energy to trying to digest food at that time.
So, how many hours before you lay down to go to sleep should you complete your last meal?
This is a really great question. It really depends, because some people are really fast metabolizers. It depends on what you're eating. So this is something where you get to experiment with. For most people, it's like 3 hours, like a 3 hour window. Some people that are more that, they're slower digest process, it can be like 4 hours. Some people can get away with 2 hours. So it's one of these things that you kind of just, I think it's fun to experiment with and see, hey, do I feel better if I eat earlier and then don't have any food? And then if you have the Oura Ring or some type of sleep tracker, you can kind of see, oh, wow, actually, wow, that I made the connection. When I eat earlier, my sleep score is better and I feel better. And then, but for most people, it's about 3 hours, I would say, fasting.
So, any other tips for people that are having difficulty sleeping that they should do throughout their day?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the hardest, but it's one of it's one of the hardest, but it's the most simple thing. It's get the technology out of your bedroom. If you have your phone as your alarm clock, you just get an old-fashioned alarm clock. I mean, there's actually great alarm clocks now that like they light the room up as wherever you set your alarm, and they have like meditation bells and like all kinds of soothing music. It's not but get your phone and your TV out of your bedroom, because technology, people are checking their emails, they're checking their social media, they're watching shows in bed, and it's just stimulating. Not only are you getting all that blue light, which really doesn't allow the melatonin, the sleep hormone, to fully, open up and come online, but it's just stimulating. These shows that people are watching, the emails, the social media. So if you can just get all that out of your bedroom and create some type of space between your day and your night, have a transition, a clean, clear transition where you're like letting go of all technology, you're doing something that's more parasympathetic, you're going to sleep better.
What about listening to something to fall asleep to?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's not like a one solution for everyone, but if you're listening to a podcast or if you're listening to something that is soothing, that you find is relaxing, great. If you're listening to like a murder mystery or something like that, and yeah, so the content that we consume affects how we feel affects how we sleep. So if you can just find something that you can disconnect from your day, disconnect from whatever's going on, whatever that practice might be. Maybe it's playing piano, a puzzle, stretching, meditating, prayer, drawing. I don't know, something that doesn't involve technology that you find is relaxing. That would be a great thing to do before an hour before you go to bed.
Okay. I cannot thank you enough. If our guests want to get a hold of you, we'll link all of your information, and so they can just call you up and get in on a 8-week coaching with you.
Yeah. I mean, sleepscienceacademy.com. You can go there and you could schedule a consultation, or we have sleep quizzes and sleep webinars and all kinds of fun things people can do to kind of engage with us. But if you're really struggling with your sleep, please go to Sleep Science Academy and check out what we're doing. We'd love to support you.
Thank you. It's amazing what you're doing, and the fact that you're helping so many people, because Devin, when you help one person, that one person is not taking out their anger on everyone around them and making all their lives worse. So I really applaud you. Please keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's not easy to work with people that are extremely sleep deprived. And I constantly have to remind myself of what you just said, because sometimes it's a difficult audience that we work with. I always tell my team, I'm like, this is God's work, really, because I know how I am when I'm not sleeping. I am not the best person to be around, and we're dealing with a lot of those people on a daily basis. So, but it does make a difference, and I appreciate the acknowledgement.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to maybe doing this again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.